Yasir Qadhi is no stranger to controversy. Being the academic, he has sometimes ruffled feathers with comments he has made on different issues. This time, even worse than before. He said something now, again, that shook the ground or pulled the rug below the Dawah guy's feet. So much so that Muhammad Hijab took the drastic step of deleting the last 30 minutes of his interview from the point Yasir Qadhi started talking about, guess what? Quran preservation. This is your friendly neighborhood ex-Muslim Abdullah Samir here. I'm exploring the topic of Islam and how it affects the lives of believers and disbelievers. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Yasir had established a rapport with Muhammad Hijab. Hijab was giving him the chance to air some difficult questions and tackle them on his established platform. This gives Yasir Qadhi credibility and a safe space to discuss with someone friendly on his side while quashing the worst rumors and attacks that are coming up against him. It's a smart move. The last conversation that Hijab had with Yasir Qadhi, however, took an unexpected turn. It went into a direction he wasn't expecting and did not look good on Hijab. I think Qadhi doesn't care that much what anyone thinks, so he just said what he wanted. He's sort of untouchable and cares more about the truth than pleasing his audience. Or maybe he was just overconfident. Hijab asks a question about the Quran email leaks, which I discussed in my video Yasir Qadhi Has Doubts in Islam. Hijab said Brother Imran, aka Dawah Man, had leaked some Quran preservation emails. And can you explain yourself about these emails? Do you consider the Hafs and Asim and so on munazal, meaning revelation from Allah? Here is what Yasir Qadhi said.
So one of the brothers, he did something, again, unethical. He was expelled from the list, and the list was basically banned because of that, stopped because of that. He couldn't refute to my argument, so he sent it to one of your madkhalis in England. And so then, of course, this madkhali gave it to the other one, and so obviously, everything, all whatever broke loose. But again, this was not something I brought up in public, and I would never bring it up in public. And I don't think it is wise to bring it up in public. Every single student of knowledge knows, who studies ulum al-Quran, that the most difficult topics are ahruf and qiraat, and the concept of ahruf and the reality of ahruf, and the relationship of the Uthmanic mushaf with the ahruf, and the preservation of the ahruf. Is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 7? And the relationship of the qiraat to the ahruf. This is a topic that when you're the beginning student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out. And you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult. And this isn't new. This is from the time of the Sahaba. In the Sahih or the Hasan hadith of Ubay bin Ka'b, the hadith of the ahruf, that when the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the issue of ahruf, and that there are different ahruf and whatnot, this is in the version of Muslim Imam Ahmad. Ubay bin Ka'b says, authentic hadith, فَدَخَلَ فِي نَفْسِي شَكٍّ. In my heart, a doubt came that I hadn't had about Islam since the days of Jahiliyyah. This is not a joke, brothers and sisters. The issue of ahruf and qiraat caused confusion to somebody whom the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to listen to the Quran directly, listen to Ubay. Ubay is not some even average Sahabi. He is the Qari of the Quran. He is the master. He is who he is. And he goes, فَدَخَلْ فِي نَفْسِي شَكٍّ. What is all of this stuff? And the Prophet put his hand, and then he goes, it all went away. Now, for the first time, I'm telling you here, what was the crisis? I mentioned it, referenced it, but I never explicitly said it. Why didn't I say it? Because it should not be said in public. But unfortunately, these brothers, because they released the emails, so then I have to then get it. This was the issue. That the issue of ahruf and preservation and qiraat and relationships between them, these are very, very difficult issues. And the most advanced of our scholars, they're not quite fully certain how to solve all of the unanswered questions in there.
Now, Muhammad Hijab should have known about the Streisand effect. When Barbra Streisand tried to hide photos of her mansion in California, it drew further attention to it. Hijab, if you try to hide something, that just makes it go more viral. If the video is already mirrored on Yasir Qadhi's channel, what good would removing part of it from yours be? Do you really think that'll work? But I know what Hijab will say. We did this because we didn't want to confuse the masses. Muslims don't need to know about Quran preservation. It'll hurt their iman and cause more doubt. Like Yasir Qadhi said, it's not wise to discuss these issues in public. Better we keep it behind closed doors. There was even a bigger bombshell that came later.
And by the way, this is now a well-known open secret amongst many Muslim graduate students and academics around the world. And this is well known. Traditional understandings of ahruf and qiraat cannot answer some of these pressing questions that are now being poked by our people outside of, by our academics, by their academics outside of the faith tradition. You see, in a Muslim environment, there's always some respect that we have for the Quran. We should. In a Muslim environment, we'll press a little bit and then we'll say, okay, khalas, sami'na wa ata'na. And that's great, alhamdulillah. When you go to academia, they don't have that red line. And they're going to just, you know, the famous story of the emperor with no clothes. They're going to just point out, no, that doesn't make any sense. Well, that's not true, and this and that. And they'll bring issues, which I'm not going to mention explicitly, that you know are true because they're in your own books. They're not inventing anything new. They'll bring you riwayat and they'll bring you athar, and then you add to that very well-known issues of, I don't even want to be explicit. And then you bring on top of that makhtutat, and then. And it's very clear to you and to every single very advanced student and specialist that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say. The standard narrative does not answer some very pressing questions. Okay? This is what I'm going to say.
Well-known secret among academics, huh? And did you catch that? He just said, Alhamdulillah. We poke a little and then we stop. Is he serious? He's saying it's good to be skeptical but not actually follow the evidence where it leads? Why not? Because it'll take you out of Islam? Because it'll destroy the narrative of the Quran being fully preserved? And then the final bombshell. Muhammad Hijab thought he was going to save the day with this question. But it so spectacularly backfired on him. It backfired so badly, like you cannot imagine. Hijab asks, if you had a blank mushaf, meaning a Quran, and write down with no interference what was revealed from Allah, would you write down what corresponds to the existing Quran we have? Yasir Qadhi interrupted him and didn't even let him finish the question.
Ask you one question to try and make this as specific as possible. I think if I were to give you a blank mushaf, and tell you to write what is munazal verbatim from Allah into that mushaf with no human interference, would you write something which corresponds?
It's not an easy answer. It's not an easy yes or no. It is enough for the Muslim to believe that the
I think
Quran
this should be an easy yes or no, though. Yasir Qadhi. I have to.
Okay, very, very well. So, yeah, Muhammad, after we get off this phone call, me and you, let's have a number of discussions. No problem. I'm very open with advanced students. But these issues should not... Look, it is Kalamullah, what is going to be written. It is Kalamullah. It is
what would you write?
You're pushing me. And I'm saying it's not hikmah to... Listen, I have a condition. Like I said, everything I say is going to be factual. If I wanted to do tawdiyah and whatnot, I would do it right now in front of you. There is no need for tawdiyah. The Quran is the uncreated speech of Allah. The Quran is preserved. The Quran is known. The Quran is mutawatir. And alhamdulillah, all of the qiraat are the Quran. All of the qiraat are authentic. Alhamdulillah. Leave it at that, ya akhi. Beyond this, honestly, I have no problem. We'll have discussions or take my class. But beyond this requires background information. It is enough for the Muslim to know that the Quran is the speech of Allah that has been protected, and what we recite is the kalam of Allah. That is enough for the Muslim to know.
I appreciate what you're saying,
one thing.
But
There you have it, folks. The Quran is the speech of Allah. It's preserved because it says it is. End of story. Stop asking questions. Don't worry about it. Just do your 5 times prayers and carry on. You know, it's even worse than this. Hijab is now distancing himself from what Yasir Qadhi said. So much for supporting his guest, his scholarly guest. He issued a statement that included, if Dr. Qadhi holds an opinion that opposes the ijma, consensus, of the ummah or makes anti-normative claims, he will be refuted. Can you imagine talking about your guest like that, an esteemed scholar? What a slimy thing to do. To throw him under the bus to save yourself. At least you could have defended his brother. Not much of a friend behaving like this, if you ask me. Seems like if you want to sell Islam, you have to hide all these defects. Selling a used car would be easier than selling Islam to people because it has so many holes in it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Your support is most appreciated. And check out a live video coming up with Abdullah Gondal and myself on the topic of the very same thing. This is your friendly neighborhood ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir, signing out.